Hey everyone, welcome back to Owlchemist Tarot, serving tarot straight up. So this is going to be your general weekly reading for January 31st, which is today, and until February 6th, roughly. So, and again, whenever you see this, it could be relevant, but obviously I have to title it something. This is the Alice in Wonderland deck. I showed it on my TikTok, so if you don't follow me there, I would definitely go and check it out. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe so you know when new videos are live. And if you're a return subby, always appreciate it. Mercury retrograde is supposed to shift February 3rd, meaning that we still have to go through its shadow phase, but we're getting to the tail end of the retrograde, which is nice. We're not out of the woods yet by any means, but we're getting closer. This one has been a bear, and I cannot even describe how frustrating it has been, but a lot of good lessons. Just very frustrating. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. Oh, very cool. Okay. All right. So I really feel like many of you, your dedication and willingness not to give in or not to give up, you know, you're really going to start to see progress, or you're going to start to see movement. You're going to start to get, you know, kind of a green light or some signs that things are going to start now to move and lift. And it makes sense because we're kind of getting out of that retrograde, but still, you know, life can't stop because you're going through a Mercury retrograde. Like, let's be real. But there's been kind of a balancing of scales this week, and you might notice that, you know, fairness is kind of being now put into play. So things that you were kind of battling against that were not your fault, you know, maybe, you know, you were put in a really impossible situation, feeling like all the world was against you in many ways, or you were going to have to figure out this really complex problem without little, you know, funding or assistance or help in any way. You've done the best you could, and you've been dedicated and diligent and focused, and really have done the best you can with what you had and what you have. And you're going to start to see that that's being recognized, and that people are going to really look at, you know, putting things in your favor or making things right. Okay, so you probably might start seeing that this week, which is really exciting because some of you worked really hard. So with money, we got the 5 of Wands. So there might be some frustrations around money this week. You know, again, very common during a retrograde where things can break, or things can kind of unexpected expenses kind of pop out of nowhere. Confusion around finances, or maybe an unexpected bill, or, you know, there's some dispute around bills and money, and maybe your account. There could also be some identity theft, so be really careful with that. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to say, be, you know, thoughtful and conscientious, and kind of check your passwords and all that stuff, right? So I would say just kind of do your due diligence and go through your bank statements this week. Really look at if there's any odd transactions or reoccurring things that you don't even know that you're spending money on, because there could just be some disputes and things that are flagged, and they may not be even anything super severe. It's just something now you're aware of. Okay, so kind of take care of those nuances this week, you know, button everything up. And again, during a retrograde, it's all about relooking and redefining, going through the details, because now when you clear all that stuff up, you're going to be able to walk away and say, I know exactly what my monthly bills are, I know what I'm spending my money on, and I'm not surprised. When it comes to, I'm going to pull one more card for the career zone. Interesting. So we got the Temperance in reverse, and then we got the Tower card. I love this one because this is Alice when she gets stuck in the house. And the Temperance card in reverse is the potions and the bottles. For some of you, this could be, there's been a lot of unevenness at your job or at the company you work in. So they could have done some layoffs. They could have done some restructuring. They could have leaned out departments, and you could be feeling where you're like taking on a ton of work and you're not getting paid for it. But then like the company's kind of justifying it, saying, well, we had to let all these people go, and you're here and you should be thankful you have a job. Yes, kind of, but that doesn't mean it's right to do that to somebody. So for some of you, you're going through a lot of upheaval at your job. For some of you, this could have been a loss of job, or quitting, walking away, because it's just like not worth dealing with that much stress and energy and strain, and never having this separation of your personal life versus your professional life, right? And unfortunately, some industries and some jobs, it feels like it is 24/7. Not that it should be, but you have to be available. Or your company makes you feel like you have to be available. For some of you, your personal time could have been infringed with work, like on your weekends or time off, and it just feels like there was no like respect or boundaries. And again, but I think this is a long time coming for some of you that are in this situation. The Tower card really does represent the need for change. And the Tower card is a major arcana, and it's that type of energy where sometimes it is something that you can't control. It's going to happen. But you need to follow your instincts and guts and feelings around. If you're unhappy, if you feel drained, if you feel like you're at a dead-end job, or you're not respected or valued or paid what you're worth, this is the time, and you've been nudged to go somewhere else or to spruce up that resume or to start networking and connecting. This is your sign to start doing that. Because a lot of times with the Tower energy, this is coming whether you want it to or not. It's abrupt change and something that's usually out of your control. Because the foundation that you've built your career, your job on is faulty. It's not, you're not meant to keep continuing down this path at this rate, at this speed, without, having the ability to have breaks and have boundaries, right? So the Tower card in the long run is really, really positive, but in the moment it's very destructive. It can be very, make you feel thrown off. So you need to create some balance. You need to have, some healthy conversations with your boss. And if you can't do that, you need to start looking at other places that are going to allow you to really have more flexibility, more autonomy, and you're going to be valued. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now, in the romance kind of relationship sector, really, really amazing card. We have the Star card. The Star card rules Aquarius, and we're in Aquarius season, so happy birthday, Aquarius. This is the beautiful, it's the rose garden, the white rose, love her. She was like one of the nice flowers in the flower garden. The Star card is very much about alignment, and it's a wish card, a wish coming true. It's also about, I think for a lot of you, you've kind of been in this phase of reevaluating and relooking at what you want your relationship to be, your next relationship, or even the one that you're in. Like what are things that you're really happy with, love, and what are things that you need to change, whether it's your partner or yourself, right? Because it takes two to tango. And this is really about evolving and seeing where you want to be as a couple, or where you want to be in a relationship, rather than how it that's not going to make sense. Sorry. A lot of you have taken a step back and reevaluated how you want your relationships, as I said earlier, because you've gone through some adjustments, you've evolved, and you've transitioned and transformed as a person, and now the relationships that you want to be in are shifting as well and evolving as well. So, who you are 5 years ago is not necessarily the same person you are now, and probably not the same relationship you wanted 5 years ago, right? We all want different things. So for a lot of you, maybe you're not getting so worked up and thinking, oh my gosh, by this age, I want to have kids, a family, married, all that stuff. And for some, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but for some of you, you're not being so hard on yourself, and you're not putting these like regimented goals and like feeling like you're checking a box that you're getting all this accomplished, when really entering into a relationship should be very natural. It should evolve and unfold naturally, that you both are kind of going into the same direction because you like each other and you love each other, and that's what naturally makes sense, right? And everybody's different, so it's not about having to, you can just be lifetime partners. You don't have to have a marriage certificate. Like, everyone's different, right? And so the 10 of Pentacles in reverse tells me that you're not really looking at, this long-term, like how relationships are going to define you in the long run. And like marriage, maybe you have different ideals around marriage and financial, the institution of marriage and, you know, what that means financially and what that means, you know, emotionally for you. You're really redefining how you look at everything. For a lot of you, I do think that if you're in a relationship, you're kind of looking toward the future and what that means. You know, the 10 of Pentacles is a lot of time like the long-term wealth card. Like you're building this type of stability, financial stability, for not only your relationships, your family, but like future generations. And I think for some of you, you're kind of redefining that and trying to adjust and figure out, you know what, maybe we don't need to live in this massive house, or maybe we don't need to have all these things, or maybe we don't need to live in one of the most expensive cities in the world, or maybe we don't need all, if you're kind of reevaluating, you know, needs and wants. And as you grow, especially as a couple and you're in alignment, and with the Star card, it kind of suggests that you're reevaluating what it means to be stable and what you want long-term, not only as a couple, but for your family as well, if you have one. When it comes to being single, I do think you're living more in the present and you're being in the moment. And even though the Star card, because Aquarius is very futuristic and the visionaries, I think you can have these ideas of what you want your relationship to be, but I don't think you're putting, again, these hard, you know, goals and like putting so much pressure on yourself. You're taking things as they come. And it's not all about having to like maybe date to get married. Maybe you're just trying to date just to get back out there and get your feet wet back, you know, and again, and you're trying to figure out like how to even do this. Like, who are you? You know, like, what do you want? Like, are you ready to even kind of put yourself out there? I think you're starting to look at that and get into more of a groove and taking maybe a slower pace and not, and having fun with it and not being so stringent, right? And I think for many of you, you're really adjusting and looking at, you know, what it means to be in a relationship, and also not losing any of your identity and your independence, because Aquarius is very independent. And sometimes also a lot of detachment comes with Aquarian energy. And even though whoever's watching you may not be in Aquarius, but because we're in Aquarius season, sometimes you can feel the energy that is of Aqua, right? So, and I can say this because I'm an Aquarius, but this is very much about not having to think of the next relationship you're in as all or nothing, okay? Because it's now more about, look, I can do this on my own. I'm independent. I'm single. I'm making my own money. You know, I'm doing fine by myself. If a relationship comes in and it's the right one, amazing. If not, I'm fine either way. I really didn't lose anything. So I think you're kind of looking at it in that way, which is great. And again, you shouldn't put so much pressure on yourself if you're kind of entering back into the dating scene, if at all. So I'm just going to be pulling one more card for whatever reason I feel drawn to. Let's see. Okay. Interesting. You know, we have the Knight of Wands in reverse and we have the King of Wands. I'm going to tell you, the first thing that keeps coming out that Spirit is saying is don't settle, don't rush into anything, and really think about not only entering into this week, but starting, launching, doing anything, but being more strategic, right? So I don't even know if that made sense. Sorry. Mercury retrograde has gotten me so messed up. Don't be reckless. This is not the time just to like spread your energy really thin. It's really about being strategic, especially when it involves work and business, okay? Be really thoughtful what you want to do and where you want to spend your time. Instead of trying to do, and not to say, because a lot of you are really, really talented in a lot of different things, but you may not be able to make money, or you may not be able to spend time and energy on it like you would normally. You know what I mean? So really take a step back, and instead of just rushing or jumping into something, look at it from more of a leadership perspective, higher level. You know, what can you realistically do and what do you want to do? Instead of trying to, you know, balance 50 balls in the air, maybe you can just do 2 really well. Asking yourself this, like, what makes the most sense for you? And how do you want to start moving forward? Whether it's in business, in your career, with money, with your relationships across the board. Really, you cannot be everything to everyone. So really take some time and think about, instead of just a shotgun approach, be more like a sniper, be more targeted, be more focused, have more of a plan, okay? So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. If you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram, I post there, and would love to see you on those channels as well. Have a wonderful rest of the week.